So go back to your little mushroom experience.
The first one was really like life-changing. That was just incredible. Like, it was the craziest experience ever.
Probably my only regret I have in my life is not being a man about that and not actually communicating and doing the right thing. I just ran away.
Telling you to live like that, because I really don't think that that's the way to live. I think there's so much more to life. People would have talked about us behind our backs. Like, people would have always thought, like, who do these guys think they are, basically, because we were very... My story has honestly been a roller coaster of like extremes. Like, I've
basically just push our emotions to the side and not feel the pain.
He just said put them in your tea and drink tea. We just lost any drive that we had. Like, we lost all our love. Like, picking up the camera became like this massive chore. Like, we wanted to do everything but work. Thought we had made it when we actually hadn't. We were a long way away from actually making it, and we got just swallowed up by this. Like, it was insane. Like, it really was like a little bubble of like just getting money too easily. Like, it wasn't going to last forever, but I was going to make the most of it. Like, I knew it wasn't going to last forever.
Being able to do, like, me and you can just get up and go wherever we want tomorrow and come back here whenever we want, and that's like that's true freedom.
Full bag in each, and went.
And with the mushrooms powder, or like
no, they're full mushrooms, like all dried up.
Right, folks, so welcome back to another episode, our third episode, and I'm here with my best friend Joel. So, welcome to the podcast, Joel. How are you today?
Very good. Very, honestly, a little bit nervous. This is my first. I'm not really the guy to be in front of the camera. I'm usually behind it. So, this is my first ever podcast.
But you are used to being in the studio. We're in the studio right now, and you've been locked in the studio recently, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah.
On a new venture.
Yeah.
Into the music world, which we'll cover further as we get into this. But a lot of you often ask me about Joel, and if Joel's not on my channel for a while, people wonder where you are, what you're up to, and you're a bit of a mysterious man.
I get told that often.
So today I want to just kind of tell your story, a little bit about you, what you do, the success that you've had with kind of content creation, because you've been doing it a long time now as well, same as me, and now you kind of veered off in a different path. And I also want to tell some stories of how we met and just everything we've done together that formed a very special friendship.
Sounds good. There's a lot to cover there.
There is a lot to cover. So, first of all, when did we meet?
So, we officially met in 2020 in the little lull between COVID. So there was like the really bad lockdown, and then there was a break in the summer, and then it went back into really heavy lockdown. We met, I think, in like the July or August, in between in Ibiza. After speaking on, well, no, I don't think we had ever actually spoke online. But
we followed each other.
But it was actually through Lee or Jake that we met. I think it was Lee. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And so for those, just for a bit of context, Joel, where are you from?
I'm from a little place called Cookstown in Northern Ireland.
And Cookstown is, I used to live in Northern Ireland for like 7 or 8 years, and I used to get my hair cut pretty much in the next town to Cookstown.
Yeah.
And like, there really wasn't anyone kind of creating content in Northern Ireland at that time.
No.
So let's just paint a picture for everyone so that everyone can fully understand. I'm sure you've all seen Lee. I'm sure you've all seen Jake. And then we've got Joel. And me and Joel basically became the closest and became literally best friends. Traveled the world together. But so growing up, it was you, Lee, and Jake.
Yeah, so me and Lee, like, we met each other literally from, I don't know, like a few months old, because he lived beside my grandma and we grew up together. And then like around 11 or 12, Jake came along. With Jake, I met Jake and we used to sneak to a club together in Cookstown called Clubland, and Lee used to get jealous because he didn't come along, but then so he hated Jake, and eventually then they became friends. But we were always, we were always a little bit different, like the three of us, especially me and Lee, because we actually went to the same school together. So we always just sort of knew that we were different to everyone in the school. And like from no age, we had started loads of different little ventures. We used to have one called Mission. That was my first thing that I ever started. It was like a skateboard company, but eventually me and Lee joined up on it, and we were like decided we were going to do these missions around the world where we would basically put on our Instagram like who wants to go on a mission, and then whoever replied would come up to this secret location, and we would like basically have a trip with them.
How long ago was this?
That was whenever we were, I think the first one was whenever we were 16. Like the idea came, I had mission skates from like I was maybe 13, and then it sort of changed into mission adventure whenever I was around 15, 16. And that's whenever like it really started. Me and Lee, basically, I went to the Apple store and bought a camera. My dad always had like a camera because he did it on the side. And then I bought a drone in the Apple store, and we booked a 3-day trip to Italy for like, I remember the flight was like 35 return to Milan. And we took a train the whole way down to a place called Cinque Terre and made our first video. And that was like the launch of Mission Adventure. That was whenever I think we were 16.
And the purpose of these trips, the purpose of Mission was to create videos. That it was all basically around
Yeah,
content.
that was like well, I think I maybe skipped ahead a little bit, but basically from summer 2012, like we basically started making our first videos with GoPros. We used to go cliff jumping, me, Lee, and my cousins. And that was like, I got obsessed with Devon Supertramp. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, so I used to watch Devon Supertramp videos, and my dad had this camera in the house, and I bought like this little thing called a glide cam that Devon Supertramp used to make it really smooth footage. And we made like, in 2012 was the first time we made like a summer recap video. Like it's still on YouTube, Anderson Summer 2012, and it's like me, Lee, and then my cousins, and we were just cliff jumping like every single day in the summer. And then I think it was the next summer then that we were like I got more into it, and we went to a thing called the Power of Video in Belfast.
I was there. I think I was there too, or maybe not that one. Maybe I was at the one the year after.
It was whenever Devon Supertramp was speaking. Okay. So Devon, I think it was maybe like the first one, and Devon Supertramp and Peter McKinnon. Like Peter McKinnon at this point was like, he wasn't really famous or anything. Actually, on a side note, Peter McKinnon was a magician. We knew him through magic. He used to have magic cards, and Lee does magic, and I used to do magic. So we used to buy Peter McKinnon special decks, and that's why we went to the Power Video, because him and Devon Supertramp were speaking, and Lee was a massive fan of Peter McKinnon.
Had Peter McKinnon at this point done any content on YouTube yet?
Yeah, he had just started. The reason why I was speaking was because he had blown up to like 200k subscribers in like 4 weeks. Like he basically posted a video and it went really viral. It was like 7 tools you need in your camera kit or something. So he went, and basically Devon Supertramp put out a video, like he was the closing, like the big main event, and he played a video that used, you know, the M83 song, like Tears, I forget what it's called, but it's like a real uplifting song. And me and Lee, I remember it so clearly now that we're speaking about it. But Lee's like, if anyone knows him, he's a crazy, like real hyper guy, and there's really big drums in this song. And after it, we're driving back from Belfast, and Lee would turn it up like full blast in the car with my dad and be like sitting drumming on his legs, like crying and stuff to this to this song, because it's like a really emotional, like it was like the first big like uplifting video song that we had ever seen. And then the day after, or the week after, I took out a PayPal credit loan on my, like, I don't know how it worked, but basically I went on PayPal and got some sort of credit and went and bought a drone with the credit, and went to the Apple store, bought a drone, and we found 35 quid flights to Italy the week after. And we only had 3 days. So we flew to Milan, went down, made this video, and posted it on Facebook. This was before Instagram or anything was really.
And wait, so you had a drone? Did you have another camera as well?
We brought my dad's camera. Yeah, it was like a Canon. There was the
DSLR.
one. Yeah, but there was the 5, so it was quite good. But it was more photography. Like so shaky and everything.
Yeah, for those that don't know, like when Joel's talking about the glide cam and stuff, so up until recently, like all the cameras didn't have any stabilization built in. So like the old school videographers and photographers will know that whenever you bought a camera, if you tried to take any videos on it, you would see all these insane micro shakes and the footage would look horrible. And like this isn't a problem now in 2024, almost 2025, because all the cameras have inbuilt stabilization. So when you take a video on your iPhone, you'll see it's so smooth because it's got basically built-in AI software that stabilizes the footage. But back in the day, the cameras didn't have that. So like there would be like these micro shakes.
Like brutally hard to watch.
Yeah, and this is before even gimbals were invented.
Yeah, like so this is 12 years ago. It's a long time ago.
Literally. So gimbals now steady the camera and hold it still and keep it stable. But before that, you either had a tripod or you had handheld. Sometimes you would put the camera strap around your neck and like pull it tight so like it was stable
for the whip transitions.
Yeah. So like this is like really this was kind of the beginning of content
Yeah.
creation.
It really was, because like this summer we went and made this video. It was the same summer where Sam Coulter had started like making these videos. So we basically went to Italy after seeing this Devon Supertramp video and after seeing Sam Coulter's videos, and just went and just like, it's the most transition heavy, like the videos literally just flashes on the screen. Like we were running around, like literally having the time of our lives, couldn't fly the drone that well. Like the drones just, you know, like the shots of drones where they're just moving all the time.
Yeah.
Then we made the video and posted it on Facebook, and it actually got like quite good. I mean, this is before Instagram was even really, like you couldn't post videos or anything on Instagram. It was just a photo app. And we got maybe 30,000 views or something on Facebook, which to us was like literally like having millions of views. And then we were like, okay, well, we didn't ever think we could make money out of it, but we were like, let's just send this to everyone and see if we can get free trips. So we just started emailing, and my mom and dad's friend worked in a travel agency, and like we were trying to get in contact with them. Like we thought we were going to hit big time off this video, and then we booked a trip to go to Bali for a month, and we're like, this is us. This like, it's make it or break it. Like we'll go to Bali, spend all of the. Lee didn't even have any money. I had to lend him money.
And how old were you here?
17 at this point. This was like coming into the year after, so it's all, so yeah, it's hard to keep track of the exact ages that we were, but it was 16 to 17 was like the main time.
So
like 16 was that first trip.
We were
still in school. We had just, we must have just been turning 18, late 17, 18 as it was coming into it, because it was that summer where we had just finished school that we went to the Bali trip. So yeah, we booked a month or 5 weeks in Bali, like every single penny that we had, and we were like, we just go and treat it like a job. Like there was no, well, I mean, it obviously was fun, but we just came and just videoed every single day. This was whenever we were so into it, and we were like, let's try and like basically make this a job after. So we came on that trip, made a video, and it was actually a pretty cool video. Like looking back on it, it's still good by today's standards. And I finally, after sending that out to like 100 or 150 different travel agents, one finally got back to us, and they were like, if you can fly out in 2 or 3 weeks to Thailand, we'll basically like give you a chance to come work for us as a videographer. But the only problem was it was only for one of us, and me and Lee had both like been doing it together the whole time. It was our thing. So I had to break the news to Lee that like, because it was actually me who was doing all the videos at this point, and I was like, look, only one of us can go. But he obviously understood, because he couldn't actually video, but in typical Lee fashion, which was good, he went, like he wasn't going to give up on his dream either, so he reached out to loads of people, and ended up that before I made it to Thailand, he was already in 3 continents around the world with Julius. But I'll save that story for him to tell. I'm sure he'll be on your podcast at some point. But yeah, that was basically how it all started. So that's, like we're talking 12 years ago was the first like venture into content creation, on that like summer 2012, little summer.
Okay, and let's just, I want to tell the full story here. So before you even get to Bali or Thailand, you went to university for like 1 semester or 1 term, didn't you?
No, so after Bali. So basically Bali was in that summer, and then
was it before you went to uni?
Yeah, it was before I went to uni. Yeah. So I went to Bali, and then I started uni like after I came home from Bali. And literally, after 2 weeks, I mean, honestly, after the first 2 hours, I was like, what am I doing here? It was ridiculous how out of place I felt in it, because I didn't actually know what I wanted to do.
What did you choose to study?
Geography. Basically.
Did you feel any pressure from like your mum and dad to go to university?
Completely, yeah. Like they would, and like honestly, up until only maybe 2 years ago, my mum was still saying like, would you not think about, you know, not even maybe going back to uni, but like
getting a real job.
And like my grandma, I come from a place where you go to school, you go to uni, you get a wife, you have kids, and
you drive the tractors.
Yeah, you drive the tractors. So like there's 10,000 people in Cookstown. So yeah, I went to uni. I instantly knew it wasn't for me. Like I only was there because I was good at geography, and the careers teacher said, oh, it's an open degree, like if you do that you can go into whatever. But then I arrived and I was like, what am I doing here? Like this is literally insane. And
then you had a little experience that made you basically
decide
that
basically
you had a revelation.
I had a real eye-opener. So basically I took mushrooms for the first time whenever I was Me and Lee, we like took we were at home one day and a guy that we went to school with who was in our art class, like who we weren't actually friends with, but he just like Lee somehow, because Lee went to college while I went to uni, and they were in college together, so that's actually how it happened.
By the way,
And
at school, were you like the naughty boys, or were you well-behaved boys, but just like super entrepreneurial and like different?
we were like in between. Like I was actually quite like high performer in school. Like I was always like, that's why my mum and dad were so gutted whenever I dropped out of uni, because like I was always pretty smart, but I never had to work for it. But like I was sort of like I was more like a friendship basis with the teachers. Like I could be naughty, but I wasn't like actually bad. Like we could just have banter, and like I would just speak to the teachers as friends, and like yeah, like I wouldn't let them walk all over me. But I wasn't bad. Lee was a bit more like, he got kicked out of school because he was always playing with cards and stuff. So yeah, like I guess we were just like, we were honestly like, if we bump into any of our teachers now, like they'll be so happy to see us. Like we were always loved by them.
Yeah.
You know, but we weren't like the best behaved or super nerds or anything.
I think yous were like, because when I was in school at your age, I like was scared of everything and just kind of followed the rules at
Yeah.
that point in my life. Now I don't follow the rules at all, but I feel like yous all kind of broke the rules, not in a bad way, as in like did anything bad, but just went against the norm.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think like obviously I'm going, like you're going to be hearing a lot of about Lee in this, but me and Lee literally grew up like the teachers in our school, like some of them even thought we were brothers because we looked alike. Like we did everything from so young, but we're very, very different but very similar. So like Lee's a lot more crazy and like impulsive, and like I'm a lot more thought, like I think through things, and like just it's a real good balance. So like I think without me, Lee wouldn't have done what he's done, but definitely without Lee, I wouldn't have got to do what I did, because Lee pushed me to step out of it. Like I probably would have grown up more following like the rule book. But then because I grew up with Lee from so young, then like we were able to push each other out of that, and like we were honestly thinking so different. We never got bullied because like from a young age, people honestly did admire what we were doing, but we definitely, people would have talked about us behind our backs. Like people would have always thought like, who do these guys think they are, basically, because we were very comfortable with what we were doing from very young. Like we used to call ourselves like the mission boys and everything. Like we thought we were somebody before we ever did anything. Like it was like fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah, it's
and
good.
that's, yeah.
I like it. And like for those that don't know, like living in Northern Ireland, it's even more different to the UK. Like people just don't have that mindset or attitude there. So you really, if you are like that, you really stand out.
No, massively. Like honestly, Northern Ireland's changed a lot now. But then it was really like, especially Cookstown, like we're not even in Belfast. We're like, it's broken out a little bit now. Like we were really in the, like in the country. Like
the
everyone,
cultures.
yeah, like the people we go to school with and stuff are complete farmers.
Right, so go back to your little mushroom experience.
So yeah, I was in uni, and well, I can't remember. I think I actually did shrooms. I think the first shroom trip was in that summer, and then I did them again in uni. And I was at Lee's house, and I couldn't sleep after taking them. But it wasn't like a lot. It was just a little like mushroom tea. The first one was really like life changing. That was just incredible. Like it was the craziest experience ever.
Why?
I don't know. So this guy that Lee went to the college with, like he was quite an interesting character. Like he was like real like emo, basically, like all the big long hair over his face, like a real interesting guy. And he gave Lee these 2 bags, and we had no idea we literally didn't know what drugs or anything was, or mushrooms. Like he just said, put them in your tea and drink your tea. So we went to my dad's bakery and got 2 of the teacups, you know, the little actual cardboard takeaway ones, and put like the full bag in each, and went.
And with the mushrooms powder or like
no, they're
mushrooms?
full mushrooms, like all dried up. And we went in my car. I had like a little Golf, and my house is on this road that can loop around in the country, like a single lane country road.
It's like a little private lane, pretty much.
Yeah, like basically a 1-car lane, but it can loop around. But there's up on the hill there where you can see my house. There's a park you can park the car. So it was like 1 a.m. in the morning, and we just went and parked the car there, reclined the seats, drank the tea, and then it just got mental. Like literally the maddest thing. Like about 30 minutes in, like we kept asking each other, "Oh, can you feel anything? Can you feel anything?" And we like kept saying no. And then all of a sudden, like about 30 minutes in, we just started giggling like beyond belief, but we didn't know what we were laughing at, like uncontrollable laughing. And then just things just started getting so weird. Like we eventually like got out of the car and like I think we were honestly moving in slow motion, or like maybe we were normal, but it just felt like slow motion because time, honestly, you lose complete concept of time. So we get out and like the car's like turning different shapes and like Lee looked like a giant beside the car and like just so many things. And then we thought it was a good idea to get in the car and start, because it was like 3 a.m. No one drives on the road. So we started like going like around the road in a loop, just driving round and round and round. Like we must have been literally going like 2 miles an hour. But again, I have no idea because you lose complete concept of time. But basically, at about a few hours into it, we were driving and another car met us on the road, and like we started freaking out at the car, thinking like that was us like a few hours ago, like on the journey, like that's how in this thing we were. But basically it was so good and just such a unique, cool experience. Like it completely changed our outlook on life. Like we thought we had worked out everything, like everything started making sense. And
But like it's not that everything, it's not that you think everything starts to make sense. It actually does make sense.
it actually does. And like you and your friend who's doing it, like you're completely linked.
Yeah, like
So,
connected
yeah,
in the trip.
it's so weird. Like Lee would say something and I would like already be thinking what he's saying, or like at least I would think I would. And like everything starts to link up, so you can basically piece together your like real. I don't know how to describe
like your
it.
future.
Like, yeah, it's so weird.
You basically can see clearly like what you're like, because I think as men and as guys, we've talked about this so many times, our mission. And like when you have them, when you take the mushrooms, your vision, your mission becomes clear, and
Yeah.
you like basically know what you need to do in your life.
But it's-
or
yeah.
like maybe it's not for your whole life, but you know the next steps to take.
It's just you start to you start to ask yourself questions and even answer them, like questions you've never even thought of before. Like it completely makes you have a completely different outlook. Like it sounds so cliche, but like
It does sound cliche, but
break out of like this like thought pattern. Like basically, like what we're forgetting is like we're 17, 18-year-old lads. Like we're from a town with 10,000 people. We haven't even started uni yet, and like we're being pushed down this, like basically being told what life is and what we're going to have to do in life. So like all of a sudden you're like questioning all of that, and like you're seeing it so differently, and you're like, wait, hold on a second, like why would I have to do that? So that like started, that first trip like really broke that pattern. Like we started, like, honestly, we were really different after that. Like that really opened our eyes like to what was possible. Like the world all of a sudden felt so small and things just seemed so possible. Like it nothing seemed too big to achieve anymore. Like that really made us think like that. But then obviously then a couple of months later I started uni and I was still feeling like this, and we decided to do it again. And we took them, it was in my uni dorm room actually. We took them and we didn't really have, like nothing happened. It was nothing like the first time. So we were like, oh, like this is boring, like let's just drive home. But then we drove back to Cookstown. It's like a 1 hour drive and it's like a straight motorway the whole way. But like we literally felt completely sober. Like it was like, we can just drive, it's no problem. But then on the drive, like we started to feel like we were the only car in the universe because it was so quiet, like super late at night. And we were like this fighter jet going down the motorway and you could see all the stars and everything. And we arrived home and got in bed and I couldn't sleep. And like every time I closed my eyes, there was the most colors, and like just my brain was working a million miles an hour. And then I just decided, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I at uni? This is completely pointless. Like I'd already obviously been feeling it deep down, but like all of a sudden I was just like, what am I actually doing here? Like this, I've had enough of this. And I wrote out a big letter on my notes to my dad. And like it was like a really, really long letter. And I actually never sent it to him.
Did you not?
No, like it was so intense. Like it was way too deep. Like he would have been like, what is going on with this guy if I ever sent it? But I did. I woke up the next day and I was supposed to be at uni, but I went to my grandma's because I obviously drove back to Cookstown, and Dad seen my car there and texted me like, why are you not at uni? And then I was like, I just called him and I was like, look, I don't think it's for me. Like I basically, like, I haven't been going now for the past few weeks. Like I get people to sign me in every day. Like it's just not for me. And he said, that's okay. Like my dad's really understanding with all of that. But he was like, you're not going to be lying in bed tomorrow. Like, you're coming into work. And he has a bakery, so like 3 a.m. the next day I have to get up and go in and clean pans, and like had to go down and tell the uni that I was dropping out. Like, he made me like fully make the decision. Like, there was no like teetering on the edge and going and sleeping and making decisions. He was like, you either are going back tomorrow or you're coming to work, and that's like, you're fully dropping out. So I drove down, dropped out, and then yeah, like that was literally only a couple of weeks in, to be honest. And then
I think it's a brave thing to do because, like, it's just not many people. I think a lot of people would maybe want to drop out, but just don't have the balls to drop out.
100%, yeah. Like, so many people
Waste
like,
3 years or 4 years of their life going to something that they don't even like or don't even enjoy.
like I could guarantee even people listening now, like a lot of them at uni are going to be like me and my friends. So we were just there, like,
For the sake of it.
every other friend that I went to school with that went to uni was literally just there for the sake of it. Like, they had no idea why they were doing it. They were just going and doing a degree to get a degree. And most of them aren't even working in that like field of work, you know, like some of them went to do engineering and now they're working as accountant. You know, it's just completely random. And some of them are still doing exams now because they did the wrong degree for what they actually ended up wanting to do, and then had to do all the exams.
It's literally insane. Like, I did 3 years at uni and got my qualifications, but I will never, ever, ever use that degree ever.
No, yeah.
That was just like, I don't say it's a waste of time. I don't regret it, but it just kind of bided me time so that I could actually decide that what I wanted to do. But like, bro,
That's
like,
all it is. Like,
the school system is just not for me
no,
or for you.
no, definitely not. Like, I could, like, I've got older cousins who are still doing exams, and like, it literally baffles me how I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, I love to learn, but I like to learn things that I actually want to do, like,
Well,
instead
also,
of being forced on.
being forced to learn things and also learning things on your own terms. You can learn stuff in like a week.
Yeah,
You don't need to wait. Like,
exactly.
you don't need to go to one class a week for 3 months.
You
Like,
learn
can-
off your own interest.
Exactly.
Like, you're fueled by your desire to actually learn something. And like, I'm not saying everyone at uni, like, obviously there's a lot of people who go to uni who actually want to go. And I think if you, like, for example, want to be a doctor,
Yeah.
or
A lawyer.
a lawyer or something that you actually have to go to uni for, then it's really good. But those people actually want to do that. It's like, you grow up knowing that you want to be a doctor, basically, or you want to be a lawyer. Like,
Yeah.
it's quite a deep thing. But I think, honestly, if you're really unsure about what you want to do, travel, yeah. Then if you end up going to uni after a year or two of travel, but like, you're way too young at 18, you don't even know what you want. So you're making a decision of like, your 16, 17-year-old self's making this decision about what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you have no idea. You haven't met anyone out of your town. You haven't even met anyone at the uni yet. Like, most people are coming from a tiny town in uni, or in Ireland or in the UK, and like, your mind is so small. Like, you haven't seen the bigger picture at all. So
This is something that I really want to talk about because on every podcast where I've ever mentioned Joel or in any video, I always say that Joel's beyond wise. And like, for me, when I met Joel, specifically Joel, like obviously Lee and Jake as well, but when I met Joel, I was like, how is this guy like so like intelligent or wise, or like, it's not that you're super mature, but like just so wise. And I'm like, I was used to hanging around with either friends my own age who were pretty similar to me, but like, Joel made such an impact on me. And again, Joel is just a few years younger than me. And I was like, he's younger than me, but he's like basically more ahead of ahead of me in life. And I couldn't work out why. And obviously I was hanging around with Mike as well at the time when I met you. And obviously Mike's a few years older than me. So I was like, oh, and again, this is a thing that like age is just a number. It really doesn't matter at all. That's one thing that I've learned over the last few years, especially traveling. But like, when you're in the school system, like, you think that the people older than you are better than you, or wiser than you, or cleverer than you, or stronger than you, or whatever, but it's actually not true. And then when I met Joel, and I just couldn't put my finger on how he was so clever, or how he was so wise, or like what he knew that I didn't know. And it was like, I was honestly so impressed. And that's obviously one of the, like, Joel's my best friend because he's wise and smart, but it's because I love him as a friend. But I couldn't work it out. And now, as I've got to know you more and more and realized and traveled the world with you, I've realized that you're so wise and intelligent. And it's because you're open-minded, because you've traveled the world, because you started at such a young age traveling, whereas everyone else is stuck in the school system, are stuck working a job. And you went and traveled, saw different cultures, saw different people, met new people, took risks at such a young age, and it just completely opened your mind.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, like, bro, like, that is what, like, you're not scared to do anything. Like,
No.
you just go and do it.
Yeah, honestly, there's two major things that made me like that. Like the first one, like the mushrooms really were life changing. Like it sounds so cliche. Like everyone, like you'll probably hear so many people in their life say like, "Oh, I took mushrooms and it changed my life." But like it genuinely did, because it just made me think differently. But it was like a perfect chain of events, because as soon as I did that, dropped out of uni, then I got this job in Thailand and went to live in Thailand with a bunch of people from all different cultures. Like I was the only Irish guy. There was people from Canada, America, Thailand, Cambodia, like Myanmar. Like,
You were
I,
literally there alone. You went alone.
yeah, I just flew to Thailand and thought like, what have I got to lose? Like I can,
So mad.
yeah, like the worst comes to worst, I can fly back home. And that was like this, like I was earning like 80 to 100 quid a week. Like I was literally earning no money, but I was able to do everything I wanted to and more.
And so let's because I want to basically link this podcast. I want every conversation to kind of obviously be about storytelling, but also content creation, because content creation in your camera is kind of what opened this
Yeah.
door for you. Like if you didn't have, I'm sure you could have still went traveling the world, but at least your camera gave you a purpose to go to Thailand.
Yeah. So like this is another thing, like quickly, like I was not a good videographer. Like I just put myself out there. Like I knew, like at that Power Video event, like I met 10 other guys from Northern Ireland who were way better at making videos than me. But like that was what me and Lee were good at, was just like getting ourselves out there and saying yes to shit that we actually couldn't do. So basically this guy from Canada reached out to me after sending all these emails after Bali. So like the timeline is we go to Bali, then I go to uni for like not even a couple of months. Then as I drop out and get this little job with my dad, I basically also get offered, like I get a message back from one of the companies that we reached out to asking me to come over, and he's like, I can give you a 3 month trial to see if you want to basically come and be a content creator for like a backpacker company. It was called True Travels. So it was like, you're going to be based in Koh Phangan in Thailand, but every few weeks you get to go travel with another group of like 18 to 25-year-olds who are backpacking, and you'll go on the trip with them. So like they did, at this point, they did trips in Philippines, like Cambodia, Vietnam, Bali, and just all of Southeast Asia basically. And I was like, this is the dream. So I flew over to Thailand, never been to Thailand before. I'd only been to Bali. And this was to a guy a random guy from Canada who messaged me online. Like it could have been anything. Like my mum was so worried, but I was like, what, like worst comes to worst, I just fly home. Like there's not really much to lose. Like the flight was like 300 quid. It wasn't the end of the world. So yeah, I land in Thailand, move to Koh Phangan, and I meet all these people like who are all older than me. Like I was by far the youngest. And I started like getting to go on these trips because I was basically videoing other backpackers on their like year abroad. So I was getting to be paid to do all of this, and like it was like the dream, and I got to meet so many different people, and that was what really like changed my perspective on everything. I was like, I started to live so differently. Like I realized before I went there, I was honestly quite materialistic. Like I always liked to have the newest iPhones and MacBooks, and like I was privileged to come from like a nice family. Like we weren't ever rich, but we always were able to have what we wanted. And then whenever I got there, I was like, wait, hold on a second. Like everything at home, like what people strive for, like it's actually not what makes you happy. Like I was making 80 to 100 quid a week. Like I dropped out of uni, broke my parents' heart. So like they thought like I was going to be a doctor whenever I was growing up, or like a lawyer or something. Like my mum, I was the first child, and she was like, Joel's like the academic one, like the others are sporty or whatever. Like I was the one who was going to be like going to uni and everything. So I broke my parents' heart, but then I got there and I was like, wait, like I'm making 100 quid a week. I'm living in a little like house on stilts 2 minutes from the beach. I bought a scooter for 120 quid. It was costing me like 90p a week basically to fuel it. And I was so happy. Like I literally didn't wear a t-shirt or anything. I wore a pair of shorts, barely ever any sandals, drove around on my bike, was able to eat out 3 meals a day. I was like, everything you need money for in the UK, I have here without money. Like people in the UK want to make money to have a nice car. I don't need a nice car. I live on an island. I've got a bike. They want a nice house. I don't need a nice house because all I do is sleep in the house. Like, I'm outside all day. Like, they want to go on holidays. I don't need to go on holidays. I already live in the place where people want to come on holidays too. And I was like, that was like such a big thing for me. I realized like I actually don't need everything that people tell you need to be happy. Like, I'm happy here with such a simple life. And I really honestly went too extreme with it. Like, because I was living with, like, I loved all the people I was working and living with. But like, if you've ever been to Copenhagen, which you just were there, like, you realize like it's almost a little bit too far like that. Like, everyone's honestly a little bit swallowed up by the island.
Like, this is something that we can talk about for a while because I think it's really important. But again, this is my first time in Asia, even coming here in March.
Yeah.
And that's completely changed my life. Like,
Yeah,
and as you said, the things that you think about on the mushrooms, as well as like, you realize like, why on earth would I need like a nice, like a super fancy watch that's like 20 or 30K? Why would I need a Louis Vuitton bag or like a Dior t-shirt? Like, it's all complete nonsense. Like,
it really
literally
is.
Like in places like Bali, Thailand, where you're on an island, you literally go and buy like a t-shirt like this for like
For
€1.
pennies, yeah, like,
And no one cares what you're wearing. Like, it's not about what you're
you
wearing.
can't even
or how
wear
you
nice clothes.
Yeah, it gets destroyed anyway. And like, I think that's the most, like, the thing that opens your mind most about living in Asia is you realize you don't need any of that. All of that other stuff is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
You need your motorbike. Ideally, you need a laptop. And if you're into content creation, you need a camera. But even if you've got your iPhone, that's more than enough. And you just realize like, life is not all about earning the most amount of money or buying the biggest house or driving the nicest car. It's actually so far away from that.
But just literally being happy. Like, there's so many people who are making so much money in a place like the UK, but they're just not feeling good because, and they can't even put a finger on it, but it's because they're just trapped. Like, they are literally, like, I hate the way all these people talk about the Matrix and stuff, and like, but they are actually in this system that you're basically like funneled into, and unless you like actively go to somewhere like Thailand and like see all the, or like, it doesn't need to be Asia, it can be South America or just even Europe. Like, just learn somewhere different and see how different people live. Like, if you go to the south of Italy, you'll realize like even the people there are a lot more like laid back, like, or Spain
In
even.
Spain, yeah.
Like,
Not necessarily Ibiza, but like other parts of Spain, like the lifestyle is just so much better. And it's simple things, the weather, the sun.
The weather is a big one, and also just the culture. Like, in the UK and America especially, like, it's really like, you're really like taught to
Compete against each other.
And like, it is honestly good, healthy competition, and it's good to want to be successful in life. Like, I'm not putting anything down on that, but like, my story will come to this. Like, there's a lot more to life than just having like money and success. Like, there's a whole other world out there that like you get to see whenever you come to a place like Asia, and you see the locals who literally have nothing and they're so happy and they're smiling. So I started asking myself those questions. I was like, well, I just started to realize like, whoa, like, the only word I can describe or I used to describe how I feel was like free. Like, I had this like overwhelming sense of freedom that I'd never honestly felt before. Like, it was so weird. Like, you really feel it. Like, you probably feel it now in Bali and stuff as well. But like, once you go back to UK, like, maybe this like feeling of freedom's worn off a little bit because like I've lived this life for so long now. But to really feel it again, like, you go back to the UK and then you're like, you feel like chained. You're like, what on earth?
It sounds so stupid, but I'll give like a ridiculous example so that people can understand what we're talking about. But in Bali, you drive around everywhere on a moped, and people get annoyed at me for not wearing a helmet or whatever, but we're literally going in and out of very small streets and no one's going...
Like 20 kilometers an hour.
20 kilometers an hour, and no one's going fast. Accidents can still happen, touch wood, nothing bad happens to any of us or to anyone for that matter, and you should always wear your helmet. But for example, what Joel's talking about, that sense of freedom. In the UK, you drive a car, there's speed cameras absolutely everywhere, obviously for safety reasons. There's police everywhere. You need to wear a seatbelt. You need to drive like this. You need to follow, like...
You're getting payments for everything. You have
all
to pay.
These rules of how to live. Whereas in Bali, you just drive around on your moped. You pull up outside anywhere. You can drive with no t-shirt on, no helmet, no shoes. You can do whatever you want. There's no one here telling you what to do.
There's no such thing as a speed cam or even speeding. Like, no. You might get pulled in with no helmet and you give the guy a $5 and he'll let you go. Like, there's no such thing as a paperwork or anything.
There's no, because people aren't trying to restrict you here. Like, whereas in the UK and in like more, I think, Western countries, they're trying to like restrain you for some
Exactly.
reason, but there is no reason for it. Like,
And it actually makes people do more wrong.
exactly.
Like,
So in Bali, like, again, touch wood, from my experience, there's no crime. There's
Yeah.
no one dangerous. I've never, ever, ever felt scared. Cindy can walk around on the streets late at night. Joel's girlfriend can do the same. Like, you never have to worry about your girlfriend or anything bad happening to them. Again, touch wood. But in the UK, like, I feel scared.
yeah, like
walking
you
around
can't
at
walk
night.
around at night in
Like,
these cities now. You can't
or-
wear nice stuff or
Can't park your car on the street because someone's going to come and take it. Like, just bullshit like that we are completely detached from here in Bali. Like, again, touch wood, most people don't even lock their doors in their houses. They just,
Yeah.
it's just open. And again, it's because there isn't any rules. People don't break the rules. People
Yeah,
are
you're
actually just being genuinely nice
yeah,
people.
like everyone's just living life on their own pace. Like if you want to go full force here and make millions and millions, then you can do it. But if you honestly want to go and lie at the beach all day and become like a waster as well, you can also do that. But like it's good to know that like you make the decision yourself. You know, like I think that's like having that freedom is such a big thing. But going back to Thailand, so like I don't know, a year and a half of it, and like I I wasn't becoming a waster. I was doing my work. I was working hard, making videos and everything. But I did honestly start to lose like my ambitions. Like I became a little bit like complacent. I was like too comfortable. Um, and one day I just woke up and was like, I need to go back to the UK, basically. So I literally booked a flight home. Like honestly, I regret how I did it in the end. Like I left a little bit in bad terms with Matt, and like shout out to Matt. He gave me the opportunity, like as this 18-year-old, to come, and like he couldn't pay me a lot of money, but like I basically got complacent, then started to realize, wait, I'm worth a lot more than 100 a week, because things started picking up after this. Like you could see content creators making more, and I honestly wanted more money off him, and he couldn't give it to me, and I left because of that. But like I took it personal, but in hindsight, like he also was making no money, and like we became really close again, and like he apologized and I apologized, because he physically couldn't pay me more, and he was like, look, I wish I could have paid you triple or 10 times more, but like I physically couldn't. And he's like, I wish I could, because now look at what you've achieved, and like I had you, you know, like
Yeah.
so yeah, I all of a sudden I went back to this other extreme. Like it was a weird
In
sort
the
of
UK.
yeah, like just my mindset. Like all of a sudden I did actually become a little bit greedy again, and like I wanted so much more. So I left and set up with Lee. Like he left what he was doing, and we met back in the UK, and we were like, let's make loads of cash now. We were a little bit older. Like our friends were all finishing uni at this stage, and we were like, let's not get left behind. Like let's actually like turn this into a business. Like we've had a couple of years of fun. We've learned how to really become like really good videographers, and at this point content creation was becoming like a decent job. Like you could make good money at it. So we both went home, we set up, and then COVID came. We actually made like our first couple of months with our business, I think we made like 6 and then 8 or 9K, which felt like a lot of money, but it was between two people, and we just were blowing it as it was coming in. Like we were going to the clubs with our friends from uni, acting like we were like these millionaires now, like buying them all drinks and everything. Then COVID came, and like Lee ended up going back to Mexico because there was no COVID rules there, and I met you, and these car competition things like took off in Ireland and the UK.
Yeah, let's
like,
go deep into this, because this is a good story as well. I
Yeah.
think this will really open people's eyes. And also I want to just mention something that you said. You left Thailand on bad terms. That's the first time I've ever, in the whole time I've known you, ever heard you even say you left anything on bad terms, because Joel is really, me and Joel both we suffer from nice guy syndrome,
Yeah.
and we tend to not really set boundaries with people, and also not really get taken advantage of, because we kind of sign up for it, but we find it very difficult to tell people no, and we find it very difficult to ask people for more and kind of what we
Yeah.
deserve. And
I think that's what it was. Like
me and Joel have kind of realized over the last few years, like a lot of successful people are successful because they're not scared of setting their boundaries and saying exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And me and Joel, I think sometimes are just a little bit too nice, and therefore we don't, like, I mean, the universe will pay us back in good karma. I always say that to you. And
I mean, it is, to be
yeah,
honest.
it is,
Like,
exactly.
We
haven't been hard done by.
Yeah.
But, and again, like, I just wanted to pick up and say that, like, you didn't burn any bridges. You made up with him, and like you.
Yeah, I think it wasn't that we left. It was just a bad way I went about leaving, and I was actually going back to being too nice, because instead of just saying to him, "Look, Matt, like, I'm gonna have to leave," or like, "I need more money, like even just a little bit, because I can't actually afford to live anymore," I told him, like, I'm gonna go home for Christmas, and then once I was at home, that's whenever I did it, and then just didn't come back. Whereas if I actually communicated better and stuck up for myself more, then the whole situation probably could have been solved before I went home, and then didn't. So it was like, that's why it was in bad terms, because I just didn't come back.
No,
and
but
we sort of just went off the map, you know, like there was no, so that was bad.
That's also a little tactic that me and you would use, because we are too nice and we're too scared to tell someone basically the truth that we don't want to come back. So
Yeah.
instead we just make it seem like we're not coming back.
Exactly. So it wasn't the right way to do it, but thankfully it's all sorted, and Matt's actually really like one of the nicest guys I ever met. Like, and he's smashing it now. So, and living in Canada again, so it's good. But
so there's a few things to pick up on here. First of all is I want to talk about you, Lee and Jake, and how you are all a little bit, well, extremely competitive against each other. And I think that's kind of helped you all grow and progress so much. But let's talk about the whole when we met during Corona and your little business that you had going, which was really eye-opening.
yeah,
Which I kind of took you away from. Sorry for that.
yeah, but no,
You'll never forgive me for that. But so Joel, I was living in Ibiza with Mike while doing like 3 or 4 weeks at two or 3 weeks at a time, and then back to Ireland. And Joel obviously lived an hour away from where I was based in Northern Ireland. I was based in Hollywood, and Joel flew out to Ibiza, and then him or Lee messaged me on Instagram saying, "Let's go for a beer." And Mike was on a date or something, typical Mike.
Yeah.
So, I used to hate being alone. I used to hate being on my own on nights out. So I was like, yeah, of course, let's go for a beer. And then of course we had like 10, maybe 12 beers. And then Lee started doing his magic tricks. We started jumping over barriers, just being completely just what we've always done and still do, even now, like just so boisterous. And
yeah, this was within our first couple of hours of meeting. Like,
yeah, literally within the first couple of hours of meeting.
It was actually a little lull in COVID, like where you could travel. So we just booked a last minute Jet2 flight, like cheapest apartment, like, because it was so much cheaper. There was nothing open. It was literally completely.
And there was no
like,
parties.
Nothing. Yeah, no parties or anything. Like, we just went cliff jumping all day.
Yeah. So after that, when me and Joel talked for the first time when we were having our beers, I remember me and Joel had this instant connection, and it was for like a number of reasons, but one of them was because we both loved videography. We both loved Sam Coulter. We both had the same camera, Canon 1DX Mark II. We both had the same drone. We both edited using the same program. We just had so much in common. And this was the first time in my life that I had met someone who was pretty much almost exactly the same as me. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I thought there was no one who does that.
Because you didn't meet anyone. Like, this was like, it's everyone's a content creator now, but like,
but
it was
back
really
then.
It
wasn't the case.
And that's only 4 years ago, and even then it wasn't.
It's literally insane how much everything has changed. And again, this is one of the reasons why I created the Creator Club, because in that time before I met Joel, I was probably creating videos and stuff for 2 or 3 years alone without anyone to talk to it about.
Yeah, I think so. Like 4 years ago, there was a lot of content creators, but they're all like us, where they all felt alone in it because communities and stuff hadn't built yet.
Exist.
Like, it was a whole different like scene basically.
And Sam Coulter was just the leader.
Yeah, and everyone wanted to make these travel videos.
Yeah,
and like it was all like a very
Jay Alvarez as well.
Yeah, it was like a very similar thing, but like now obviously it's changed because everyone is making shorts and reels, and like everyone's making content for something apart from me. I don't.
Well, if you go and check out Joel's Instagram, lots of people message me about this as well all the time. Joel is still only posting pictures from like 4 years ago when we met, and Joel's Instagram is absolutely sick. Had the best pictures ever, still does have the best pictures ever, and he used to spend so much time curating his feed and just making it look perfect. And it is sick. Like,
yeah, but it's just not what Instagram is anymore.
No,
like, it's a different thing.
It's not. And so after we met in Ibiza, then me and Joel stayed in touch. Me and Joel more so than Lee and Jake. Like, it was me and Joel just really had that connection. And then I was working with Mike in Ibiza, and then I think things locked down again.
Yeah, that is what happened.
Mike went back to Dubai. I went back to Ireland. And then I was like, right, I want to make this work. And I also now that I know I've got Joel here, like I don't have to be alone like anymore. So Joel would drive up, or I drive to him, and then we do little video shoots together for like Land Rover, different clothing companies. Joel would help me shoot, and it was just nice to actually make content with someone like, and we were both really passionate about it
Yeah,
at
we
the
were
time.
really in the deep end there. Like we were.
We
I wish
loved
we
it,
still had that passion for it.
the drive for it.
Yeah.
And then Joel basically set up a little business during this time.
Yeah. Well, it was actually before I even had met you. But like, if you're from the UK or Ireland, during COVID, you would have seen like these competitions where you could like, it was like a raffle, and basically you would pay like 10 or 20 quid, and you have the chance to win a house or a Ferrari or like something. And it just so happened that one of the ones that set up that became like one of the biggest ones. Well, actually, two that set up that became one of the biggest ones. One was 2 minutes from my house, and the other one was 5.
So crazy.
Like, and somehow both of the guys that set them up had known of me. Like I'd done jobs for people that they had known before, so they both got in contact with me when they're like from day zero, like saying their plan, they're going to set up, like would I come and video? And I just, yeah, I was like, yeah, like basically I didn't know how big, they didn't know how big it was going to be, but like they were like, how much to come and video a car and make this video? And I just said 250 quid, like for this video. And
let's just quickly cover what that video entailed, just so that people know. But basically, there was these raffles on Facebook. They were always hosted on Facebook, and it kind of started with like really extreme cars like Ferraris and Lambos, and then they realized that they can pretty much do it for everything. And then it went into houses. So Joel, like they would get a car and put it in a garage,
literally just
clean it up, and Joel would just go in and make like a little edit like of the car, and then that video would then go on Facebook as an announcement, and it'd be like, there's X amount of tickets, buy your ticket, it's 10 or 20 pound, and the raffle will be decided in like a month or 2 weeks or whatever. So Joel would just go in, literally make a little edit of the car, just showcase the car, I guess.
Like, literally towards the end of it, like obviously at the beginning it took a little bit longer, but like I basically said 250 quid per car, but like we were thinking this could be 2 cars a month, maybe, like max. Like they were just starting, I had no idea. So I said, yeah, 250 quid. I went in. It probably took me, to the first couple, it took me a while because I'd never done it, and I was like making sure I way overshot. But then all of a sudden, like these things just went literally crazy. And like before I knew it, I was doing 5 of these cars a day. I was able to video them in literally 15 minutes. Like I had a shot list where I could just go in and take the same 15 shots of each car, edit them that same day in 30 minutes, have them sent, have the videos out, and I was just driving between the two of them. And like, it literally changed my life because like this
stacking the cash.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never seen money before. Like I went from living in Thailand, like making 80 quid a week. Me and Lee made that little bit, like 4K each, maybe at the very max, but like it was all spent long ago. Then it came COVID. Actually, I missed a little part, but basically as COVID came and I couldn't make videos anymore, like there was a little part-time job in Tesco, and I went and started stacking fruits and veg. So like I basically went from being like living in Thailand, not making much money, to then coming and stacking shelves in Tesco, like complete pits basically. Like it was so shit. And then I got this offer from these guys. So I went from earning like a couple of 100 quid a week in Tesco, still able to do my part-time Tesco job while I was starting these cars. And like I would have went in and videoed them and then started my shift in Tesco, and I would have made already like 2 weeks worth of money in this one car or 2 cars in that day. And then all of a sudden it went up to like 5 or 6 cars a day. Like it was going literally insane. And I was making a lot of money, and I'd never seen money.
You did it for a few months?
Yeah, I did it for a few months, and like they were paying the invoices on the same day. So like I was like feeling like I'd won the lottery every day. I was getting the money coming in.
You had pretty much won the lottery. Like obviously you were working hard for it, and you had the opportunity. It came to you for a reason, but like that's the dream job for like.
It was insane. Like it really was like a little bubble of like just getting money too easily. Like it wasn't going to last forever, but I was going to make the most of it. Like I knew it wasn't going to last forever. But yeah,
again, these opportunities don't just happen for no reason. I think that's the number one thing to remember here. Like a lot of people could say right place, right time, but like I genuinely believe if you're a good person in your life, good opportunities like that do come. And that's those opportunities and those little wins give you the motivation and inspiration to be like, fuck, like everything has kind of paid off. Like me getting my camera, the drone, being enthusiastic about it, leaving Thailand, like this obviously all happened for a reason, and it's for this opportunity. And then basically Joel had a system for the cars, and then I was always just pestering Joel, being like, oh, come on, let's go and do something. And he was always just so busy. And then Corona basically kind of died off again.
Well, no, Corona was at its max.
Oh, was it?
And it was coming into winter, and it was that winter where, like 2020, 2021, where it got really, really bad. Like, because the first lockdown was honestly great because it was summer and you could still, like, we were living in the countryside, like there was so much you could still do. But this one was like super depressing, and I was, at this point, I was also getting like really burnt out with these car videos because I was really working like 12, 14 hours a day, obviously getting paid like a lot for it, but like it was becoming like just tedious. Yeah, like it was, I mean, the novelty really soon died off. Then we were getting closer, and then to like Dubai didn't have a lockdown, so that's why. So basically you were like,
I basically messaged Mike being like, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
I basically messaged Mike being like, oh, basically we didn't want to stay in Ireland. We knew it would be a disaster. This was like a real kind of pivotal moment in my life. I'd probably say one of the most pivotal moments in my life ever. And I basically said to Mike, can me, Joe, and my ex-girlfriend come and live with you in Dubai? And
like I met Mike that once.
Yeah, Joel had never really met Mike, and I was like, Joel's such a good lad. He's been helping me. Like, I've got nothing but good words to say about him. Like, he's literally like my best friend, and I know we'll work so well together. Mike was always wanting like a photographer and a videographer. In my head, I was like, right, well, if I can work with Mike, who's my best friend, and Joel, who's my best friend, and we can all just be like a content machine, like this could be absolutely sick. And on top of that, I didn't want to leave my ex-girlfriend behind in Ireland. Like, I was trying not to be selfish, so I basically persuaded her to come and live with Mike as well. So Mike has the same apartment that he does now, like the sickest one in Dubai. So 3 bedrooms. So I was like, it's going to be perfect. And fuck, honestly, like what a disaster.
Yeah, it just didn't work out.
Just not because of Joel, but because I had basically took Joel away from his situation where he was making a lot of money, and although he was burnt out, he was pretty successful. And my ex-girlfriend, who was just like very family orientated, like loved being at home, doesn't really even like going on holiday. I brought her out, and like her and Mike didn't really get along very well either because they were always basically fighting for my time and attention. Yeah. Like I had to give Mike my time and attention because I was working for him. And my ex-girlfriend at the time, felt, I guess, a little bit neglected and like she wasn't getting enough attention. And on top of that, I was trying to
keep everyone happy. Basically.
Yeah, keep everyone happy.
And also, like, it was just a strange time because obviously then Dubai actually did sort of go into like weird rules and stuff. And Mike like wasn't really in love with making YouTube videos as much anymore at that point as well. Like, I think it was just a weird like few months for everyone. Like, I actually had hired someone to come and do my work for me. And like the first couple of months I was like really thinking like, wow, I've really now, like, this is the best ever. Like, I'm living in Dubai in this apartment with Mike. I've got a guy doing the videos at home for me. I'm still making like really good money. But I only told the people who I was doing all the videos for that I'd be away for a month. So then like 3 months in, things never went wrong, but like basically we sort of realized like, okay, this isn't really working in Dubai for us.
It's not working at all, to be honest.
Yeah, like I then got the text from my clients being like, look, you told us you were a month and now it's 3 months. Like, what's going on? Like, we're going to need to find, like, we either want you or we need to find someone new. Like, they obviously worked out like why are we paying Joel if like he's not doing the videos? Like, I was obviously paying the guy working for me as well, but like they could see that I was living the high life, whatever, in Dubai. And like they were obviously probably getting a little bit jealous as well, like being like, we had this.
Why are we paying this guy to fucking live the life in Dubai?
But I had been too captured by the high life at this point, and it made.
Joel had like a lot of money sitting in his bank.
Yeah, so I'd made this money, and it was the first time I ever had money. Like, so it was a really strange, like, it was a really good feeling, but like I thought I had a lot more money than I actually did. Like, I quickly realized like, actually, if you want to live like a good life, you need to be making serious cash, because this is actually going back to our previous conversation. Like, money is thought of so differently, especially in where I'm from. Like, it's crazy how little money people actually need to think that they have a lot as well. But like once you step out into these places like Dubai and stuff, and like you're with people who are making real money, then you start to realize like our concept of money is so off. Like it's not even real. Like people can spend like 20k on a table at a party or 30k at a table at a party, and like
Yeah, and me and Joel, like, not to feel sorry for ourselves in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that, but we have been fortunate enough, but also unfortunate enough to be surrounded by very successful people for kind of the last 5 years. And sometimes, although we don't compare ourselves to the people who are successful, but like they can just pay for yachts and they can just pay for the nicest apartments and the best hotel rooms and the dinners. And like when
it's not so much comparison, it's more just like
we're not on that level yet.
But you get sucked into it thinking that you can't, that you are.
Yeah.
That's like a really
And you don't really want to say no
Yeah.
to going to an expensive dinner because you want the opportunity to be with everyone and to network.
Exactly.
So we were kind of out of our depth a little bit. But let's just quickly go back to this. So basically we all went to Dubai. I basically ruined my dynamic with Mike because Mike loved working with me at the time because I was so passionate about the work, and I had kind of lost that, and I was distracted by my girlfriend and by also a lot of other opportunities. Like
Yeah.
there was so many, everyone wanted to shoot in Dubai. Like there was no content creators in Dubai.
That was the thing, yeah.
Everyone wanted to shoot. Remember you did the thing with the Bugatti and the watches and
Exactly,
stuff? Like
yeah.
there was a lot of opportunities. And me and Joel, like we did, like I made a lot of money. I think Joel had a lot of really good opportunities too. And then Mike was like, I can see that you're basically not as passionate as what you were about it. And he was like, you're getting all these opportunities. I think you should just
like go for yourself.
just go for it. Just go
Yeah.
for it yourself. Like go all in on yourself. And that was like I always say this, like there's not many people in this world that would tell you to do that. Who, like I was working for Mike. Mike loved working. Me and Mike loved working together. We had the best dynamic ever. And there's not many people in the world who would be basically, who would say, okay, you just go and do your thing, because
Yeah.
that was a huge loss to Mike. Like,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not the best videographer, but just
But it wasn't that, it's the dynamic of it.
Yeah.
Like it's real, that's, and now like now as you're using different videographers and stuff, like you realize like you actually need to be sort of friends for it to work.
Otherwise,
like, for
it's just
and
very uncomfortable.
And honestly, this was actually part of the problem. Like me and Mike are friendly now, but like I didn't know Mike at this point, and you were sort of doing yours and I was doing videos for Mike, but me and Mike didn't know each other and we didn't have that dynamic. And I had also like, it wasn't just for me. It wasn't for me videoing someone vlogs and stuff. Like I was more just a commercial videographer, you know, like
Yeah.
I set out on jobs and like did actual shoots, not like vlogging all day. So it wasn't I wasn't good at it, you know, like it wasn't really my thing.
It's true. Honestly, the whole thing was just a disaster
Yeah.
because it used to be me and Mike has a 2-seater car, and then we had
Oh,
to
yeah.
hire our
Yeah.
shitty little car and then drive around, and like it was me, you, and Francis, like just like going around together, like, and the whole thing, me just trying to keep everyone happy was just a shit show.
Yeah.
And then
no.
I eventually got so stressed that I had a problem with my fucking bladder, and like, remember that?
Yeah, but basically in the end we just decided, okay, let's just go travel for a bit. And,
So we just went to Hawaii.
and spend a fortune.
Spent all our money. We went to Hawaii, and then we had a good time in Hawaii, and then after that, like, God, it was
Like, yeah, things started really, like we lost basically sight then of what we wanted. We lost our passion for videography. We thought we had made it when we actually hadn't. We were a long way away from actually making it, and we got just swallowed up by this like high life. So that's like the danger. That's why coming somewhere like Bali and stuff is so much better. Well,
Hawaii
for me
was so
anyway.
expensive.
Yeah, Hawaii and Dubai. Like Dubai for me just wasn't a place that I ever felt like that. You definitely don't have the freedom sense there, that's for sure. Obviously everyone's smashing it there, but everyone's almost, I think it's for a different stage of life.
It's more advanced.
It's
version
more
of Bali.
Yeah.
It's different. It's not like you'd go to Bali and then go to Dubai. I think it's two different types of people. But
Yeah.
if you're willing to take the risk, if you want to take a risk and you haven't quite made it yet, Bali's a much safer option. If you go to Dubai, you're going to be quite out of your depth almost immediately, and it's a lot harder to make it work.
And it's so plastic. Like you really get caught up in this fake life in Dubai, which I then in the end, like I got caught up in it massively. And then, but so that's why I've really had this roller coaster of a journey, because like I've went from being like a little hippie in Thailand to then making my first money, then spending my first money,
And
and getting
also,
caught up in this high life and like this fakeness of everything. And like now looking back on it all, like I realize what I actually do and don't like, which is good, you know, like, and now I've got my sights firmly set on what I actually, you know, only doing what I want to do.
even bro, like you just buying your dream car at whatever age you bought it at, like
Yeah.
a BMW M4, like it's literally the sickest car ever. Like,
Yeah, I had that whenever we met. I
Yeah.
remember you loved it. Yeah. Yeah, like I was able to buy that in cash. Like it was,
it's insane.
yeah, it was crazy. But then I spent all that money. Like I went, blew it all, thinking I'm this big shot. Never acted like a big shot, but just in my head, I was like, oh, this money's going to last forever. But like I very, very, very quickly found out that it didn't.
Yeah, but
And
again, let's just tell the story so that people can understand, because it was, first of all, with Mike, where Mike is obviously a lot more successful than us and has worked obviously a little bit harder than us to get to where he is, and we're not taking that away from Mike, but us being around Mike in his presence, we weren't quite at that level. After that, we then went to Hawaii, and then after Hawaii, I went home because I had no money left, and you decided to continue traveling the world with Jack,
Yeah.
who, for people who don't know, Do You Travel used to be his Instagram. Again, probably one of the best Instagram travel accounts in the world.
yeah, I mean, that was in itself such a mad, like full circle moment for me, because basically how I know Jack, me and Lee on that first Bali trip, before we went on it, my little sister like showed me this Instagram and said, oh, you like this guy in Bali takes the coolest photos ever, like you should try and take photos like this, because we were going on this content trip. And like the first couple of days there, we were walking the beach, and like I'm like, that's Jack, that's Do You Travel. And like Lee went up and did a magic trick on him, and like I have the video on my phone of Lee doing this magic trick on him on the beach. Like he was sitting outside Finn's on the beach with his ex or it was his girlfriend at the time. Lee did this magic trick. They had literally zero interest. Like we were two like 17, 18-year-old, like super baby faced, just little plebs on the beach, and Lee's like, oh, you want to see a magic trick? Like such high voice and everything in it. And they were so disinterested. Anyway, we did.
It is such an icebreaker. Lee,
Yeah.
Lee himself is an icebreaker.
Yeah, he's the perfect person if you want to meet people. And yeah, so that's it. Lee does the magic trick. Then, like a year and a half later, I'm in my friend Matt, who I'm working with in Thailand. Turns out that he's really good friends with Jack. They met on a rooftop in Bangkok, and Jack was coming over for his friend's birthday for the weekend. And he arrived, and we went and did full moon party together and jungle party together. And like I told him, I was like, oh, we actually met like a year ago on the beach. He's like, no way, was that you two? Like because at this point puberty had obviously then started to kick in. I'd already started to look a little bit older. And we honestly, like, it wasn't like we hit it off and got on really well, but like we definitely just connected quite well. Like at that point on the beach, like we then like connected with each other on socials. And like Jack, by the way, was like the best for me. That his Instagram was the best. So for me to be like at this party with him, like I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Then we just stayed in contact. Like it was nothing crazy. Like we were texting bits and pieces. But then coming towards the end of that Dubai trip, Jack messaged me. Like I remember it so well. He was like, hey bro, like he was just in Dubai and seen that I was there. He was like, just broke up with my girlfriend. Like I want to go traveling. Like, do you want to come traveling with me? Because he knew like maybe I was one of the only people still that he had met that was quite similar, you know, like we had a very similar kind of personality and very chilled. And
you were good at creating content.
Yeah. So he was like, I want to go traveling. Like, do you want to come traveling? So I was like, look, I'm going to Hawaii, but after that, I'm pretty open to travel. I had my savings. This was like best opportunity ever. Like this was the guy that for me took the best photos in the world, and like I could go traveling with him. So yeah, we just went literally traveling for
staying in the best hotels around the world, 4 seasons, living.
Yeah, like we were in some hotel,
Mexico
like,
City.
Yeah, just literally on a lads trip for the guts of a year, but like lads trip on steroids, where we're staying in like 15K a night hotels, like given for free. And it was really like, that was me then like being like, okay, this is the dream now. Like everything was at its peak at this moment. Like I had all of my savings. Like, yeah, I just lost those clients, but like I didn't really care because I was traveling with the guy that inspired me so much. I'd met so many people. I'd worked with the dream companies, everything. And like, that was like a really hard year to top. But yeah, then obviously the money ran out. And
then what happened?
I honestly
What happened in
don't
between?
really know.
What happened in between the money running out and us deciding to move to Ibiza?
Well, no, I think we had sort of decided, like, the money ran out in Ibiza. Like, if there's anywhere that the money's going to run out, it's going to be Ibiza.
When we get the most expensive apartment we could find.
Yeah.
And
But
we're
no,
all-
I think it was more the first year, because basically what had happened, I needed to work eventually.
Oh, we went back to work with Mike.
Yeah, we
in
went
the
back to
summer.
work with Mike, and Mike had an editor now. But like,
And Mike also just was going through a stage of his life where he didn't want to make videos at all, and just this is the stage that I think pretty much everyone gets in Ibiza, where you just party a little bit too much, have absolutely no motivation to make videos, lose your head a little bit. I'm not saying that Mike
life
lost.
becomes not real. Like,
Yeah, Mike didn't lose his head, but again, he just didn't have the motivation anymore. Like,
because it's too easy to do nothing. Like,
yeah, and you're
everyone
surrounded,
else is doing nothing.
Exactly. You're surrounded by people who potentially have already made all of their money, and they're just
Exactly.
there to enjoy and relax and just to live every day like it's your last, basically.
Yeah, and it's so easy to think that you can do the same thing whenever everyone around you's doing it.
So it was me, you, and Mike living in Mike's apartment, sick apartment in Royal Beach. Darren was always there,
George,
and then George was living in the other part of Royal Beach,
yeah.
so like basically just across the corridor, and we just got well and truly sucked up into all the parties.
And lost. It wasn't even. Yeah, we just lost any drive that we had. Like, we lost all our love. Like, picking up the camera became like this massive chore. Like, we wanted to do everything but work, basically.
Yeah, that's literally so true. And then, as well, that was the moment where I was like, basically, broke up with my ex, but did it the complete wrong way, and
Basically, how I left my job in Thailand. You
didn't have the balls to tell her and just ran away, basically. And that was probably the biggest, probably my only regret I have in my life, is not being a man about that and not actually communicating and doing the right thing. I just ran away.
yeah.
So that was pretty sad, to be honest, and I still wish I had done things a different way, but we were just lost. Young guys lost, and like my ex kind of blamed Joel in a little way and said that, oh, I just met Joel and I've ran away with him now. But that wasn't the case. Like, that definitely wasn't how it was. It was that I basically had been living a certain way for 10 years in a relationship, and I saw the potential of what there was to do, of traveling the world.
Exactly. You just had that breakthrough, basically. Like,
She didn't really want to travel the world.
Yeah.
She was like, I kept having to take her away from home,
which
and
it's not for everyone, though.
No,
Like,
it's
it's
not.
honestly, that's one thing that I want to say. Like, it's so easy to look at, like, even now, like, these people who are watching your YouTube and stuff all the time, but like, it's a different kind of work, obviously, than sitting in an office, but like, you can't switch off from it.
No.
If you're going to dinner, you have to bring your camera, then you have to edit that footage, and you have to sift through it all the time, and it's like, it's literally, you have to be on with work all the time, and that life's not for everyone either.
No, it's hard work.
So like, obviously for Frances, it wasn't for her, and like, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But like, you both just wanted different things.
So then after that, we then decided, fuck it, let's all move to Ibiza. So me, Joel, and Jake got an apartment in Ibiza, the best apartment in the world. And, actually before that, once we left Ibiza with Mike, I kind of had a few brand deals at that point. Remember, I had also made my first bit of money from brand deals.
Yeah.
And I finally had some money in my bank account. And then Joel went traveling again with Jack, I think.
Yeah.
You did?
I did, yeah.
And I went and just suffered in the UK for a month. And then we had Tulum to look forward to. Then we went to Tulum for like 2 weeks at New Year. Partied like crazy. Like, this is a stage where we were being...
Reckless.
Yeah, reckless. Pretty self-destructive, but it was all new to me and my brain was fresh and I hadn't really partied that much in my whole life. Like, that type of partying.
Yeah.
And we all kind of just went full send. And honestly had the best time ever.
Yeah,
like,
it was the best. Like,
Tulum and stuff was like unforgettable. Like,
Yeah.
when we look through the smile on my face, like, it's hard to, nothing will ever compare to that. That was like the start of our kind of party scene. We went for Ranbir, Andre, George, Jake, you. We met Maxwell. Like, that was that was Jorge. That was basically when we formed the crew of like party sesh heads, basically. The misfits.
we were all just in a similar stage of life. Like, we'd all just sort of like had some form of success, but then like, before we could really build on that and like really get the momentum in it, we sort of got a bit too carried away too early because we were around all these people who were so much more successful. And then, yeah, we really got sucked up by it. Moved to Ibiza, spent every penny that we had, and then the good thing is we didn't do that much damage overall in the end, but it was a very good lesson to be like, okay, we need to snap out of this and then actually go and do something substantial with ourselves.
Well, Joel learned his lesson pretty much after 1 year.
Yeah, one summer, yeah.
And he had a girlfriend because he met her in Tulum and then met her in Ibiza. So he was slightly more sensible. Whereas I was single for the first time and loose and wild. And Jake was also single for the loose and wild. And we just had no off button.
Yeah.
Like where Joel and his girlfriend lived in the apartment with us, and we had a massive club size speaker that would just be on 24 hours a day.
Vibrating the whole house.
Like literally vibrating the whole house. And me and Jake were just...
literally on one. We were like two animals. It was honestly one of the... like looking back on it.
Two animals.
No, but
and like we just did anything to have a party on the rooftop.
Just to not let it stop.
Yeah,
like,
just to not... Exactly. But basically we were... Me and Jake had both came out of long-term relationships, and we were basically just masking the pain.
And you both never really partied.
Yeah.
Like...
we were trying to cover something. We didn't want to feel hurt.
Yeah.
We wanted to basically just push our emotions to the side and not feel the pain. And I think even though it was like me that ran away from that previous relationship, I think for those whole 2 years in Ibiza, up until when I met Cindy, I was basically trying to mask that pain and just not think about it and not feel it.
Which is what, like, that's what partying does for a lot of people. Like it is so easy to just continue it, and then you don't have to ever face like reality.
Yeah, because you're just numb and you're distracting yourself with drugs and alcohol. And only now that I'm sober and on this sober journey have I really kind of digested everything and reflected on everything. And like now I can see that drugs, alcohol, partying, all of that stuff is just like a mask, like to numb myself so that I don't have to feel my true emotions. And now I'm so like the opposite of what I was, that I hate seeing people taking drugs or doing like drinking alcohol, because I know, like, especially if I can see that they're running away from something.
Yeah, but it's because you've snapped out of it. But I think that's what it takes sometimes, is like, and I think it's basically like, obviously this podcast has basically just been a storytelling time.
No, that's what it is. That's why my intention of the podcast is to tell. That's all I want, is to tell people stories, but also like, I want content to be part of it, because that's, you're able to live this life through content, through your camera. That's how we met, is through content creation. So I want to just tell people stories and show people like
the journey.
That's all I want to like. But I think people will be very inspired by your journey, bro.
Yeah, but I think if there's anything to take away from it, it is like, yeah, it's good to have. I mean, I actually don't really know where I'm going with this, but like my story has honestly been a roller coaster of like extremes. Like honestly, I have like really lived like quite a interesting life for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Like of different lives, I guess. And at the end of it all, I can really say like the best thing of all of it is just like, and the thing that makes me feel the best is not making the most money or anything like that. It's more just being able to be free and like getting to, you know, make decisions that actually make me happy, and like do things that make me feel good, like not doing things to look good, which is why I sort of stopped posting on Instagram. Like I became very conscious that like my Instagram, like whenever I went home, everyone was like, oh, you're smashing it and stuff. And this was at the point whenever I was in Ibiza, like at this point, I honestly wasn't smashing it at all. Like I was completely wasting every penny that I had. So then it made me think like, wait, this is actually all quite fake. Like I just want to live in, like, I don't need to show everyone else what I'm doing. Like I just want to live for me, you know, like because I found like I was doing things sometimes just to take the photo or the video and like show it off, which wasn't actually really making me feel good. So then I was like, okay, let's just like do things now, and I don't need to show anyone that I'm doing them, because then if I don't need to show anyone it and it's making me feel good, then it's actually really like something that I want to do. So yeah, I think that's the outtake of it. Like just do things that make you feel good. Don't chase money. Don't chase like clout. Don't chase all of these things. Like if that's truly what makes you feel good, then do it. But if you're just doing it for the sake of it because all these books tell you to do it or all these people online tell you to do it, then it's probably not really what you want to do.
I think we're very lucky with what we've experienced. Like, I think we've experienced so many things that people in their lives will never get to experience. Like, if we really dug into all the stories and things that we've done, people would be blown away.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, people have no idea of like the things that we have done. Like, not bad things, but like just events and experiences, and like even our little friendship group, like our whole crew. Like,
Yeah,
we're so
it's-
lucky to have that crew. Like, although we
'cause
are,
everyone pushes each other.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we might push each other in the wrong direction, like say the partying direction, because we're all just doing it. But like,
we literally have a group chat of our whole crew,
yeah,
and like I think we've all kind of just came out of the party stage. But I'm sure like if we were to say like, oh, let's go to Ibiza in June next year at this time, like everyone will go. And I think just having that kind of group of friends that we have, our social circle, like it's a very good group of people. Like
very good, yeah.
everyone is pretty successful, but like no one has an ego.
Yeah,
No
everyone,
one's no one's a
yeah.
dick. Like, and everyone gets along with each other so well.
And everyone can offer some sort of value to each other because everyone sort of, we're all in something similar, but we're all like on our own path with it. So it's like, it's really good for that.
And we all get to, this is another thing which is pretty crazy, is we can all, or every single one in the group, Rob, Andre, Mike, Ranbir, Maxwell, you, me, Jake, like we've all got the thing which is, for me, the most important thing is that we can just go anywhere we want at any time.
That's
it.
what, yeah, that is what it's all about at the end of the day. Like
That's-
it's just
that's
that
true
freedom.
happiness.
Yeah.
Being able to do, like me and you can just get up and go wherever we want tomorrow
Yeah.
and come back here whenever we want. And that's like,
yeah,
that's true freedom.
exactly.
Right, so quickly, for the last 10 minutes, I want to just go through a couple of things because obviously you're not really into the whole, well, you're still a creator, you're still building websites and doing that type of thing. You're creating music now, so
Yeah.
technically an artist. So, like, again, I have my creator club community, and it's not just for people who want to take photos or videos on TikTok or Instagram. It's for kind of creators as a whole, and basically being able to monetize whatever you create and work on your own terms. So you have recently, like, what have you been up to recently? Like, what does a typical day of work look like for you? What have you been doing? And I also want you to talk a little bit about your music, because people who have watched my Ibiza birthday video, I used all of your music in the video, and everyone seems to have absolutely loved it.
It's good.
And I love, like, Julieta, the song, like Joel's main song, like, for me is honestly one of the best songs ever. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that at all. Like, I
Yeah.
actually love it, and it puts me in such a good mood. So what kind of inspired you to get into the music? And now in Bali, Joel literally has a sick villa, and he's basically built himself a studio.
Yeah. So basically, obviously, I still, yeah, technically I'm a content creator, but like basically in between, I've always been quite nerdy. Like I love to learn new things and I get bored of things very quickly. So I was like, instead of just painting myself as like one person, like a videographer or photographer, like I just started exploring different things. Like that's like the freedom was like, okay, I don't want to ever feel like anything's a job ever again. So like photography and videography started to really feel like that. Like I didn't start it out ever thinking that it would be a job. Like that was never the intention. And then it sort of became one, and I didn't like that feeling of like it being a job. So then I was like, instead of letting one thing take up all my time and become a job, why don't I learn like all these different skills, and just like that I can all just like, it means that I can waken up and decide each day what I want to do and like start a business. So the whole idea was that like I wanted to start like a basically an all-in-one, like one-stop agency where, so I did like Erwin and Josh's course, learned how to do like digital marketing. I learned how to build websites. I obviously could do photos and videos. I had this network of influencers, and like I basically was like, okay, I want to make a business now where I can basically be a one-stop shop for someone who wants to either start or grow their business. So I can do the graphics and the branding. I can make the content for them. I can get the production. I can build a website. I can literally do everything that it takes to help a business start or scale. And it's meaning that I get to really, because what my passion is actually like making things, like thinking of new things. Like if like someone wants to start a business, I get to think of the name and like get to think of the branding and like the whole direction of it. So that's like sort of where it started. And I just learned all the skills required to do all of that, because I always was like creative, but also like quite nerdy. So I love to learn new boring, like things that people would find boring, but also I had that creative aspect where I could do like the branding and stuff of it. And yeah, that's what I basically like every day now. I like there's not one thing I do every day. Like every single day looks different, which is why I actually like that's what I really like. Like I like to be able to be like, okay, today I feel like maybe building a website for a few hours, but like tomorrow I can take photos or edit a video, or then music came along because like I've always been super musical. Like I really love music. Like I always feel like I've heard it music differently. Like not maybe not heard it differently, but I've always got more excited about music than most people. Like even pop music on the radio whenever I was younger, like I really loved it. Like I remember whenever I was young, I used to watch videos like the Justin Bieber movie, Shawn Mendes documentary. Like I used to think that that was my dream, not to be famous, but there's videos of them in studios where like they're sitting and like there's someone jamming on a guitar, and then they'll be like, oh wait, that sounds cool, and then like all of a sudden a song will come from it, and I used to think this was the coolest thing ever, and it was my dream to do it. But the problem was I couldn't play any instruments, only the drums. But then one day while I was learning all these new skills, and because I never like to get bored, I'm always just trying to learn new things, and like I seen a video like how to make music like Ben Bomer on YouTube, and I watched it, and I was learnt that you could make music without knowing how to play an instrument. So I tried to do it, and like actually made something decent like for the very first time. And then I was like, okay, actually maybe because I like sort of know in my head what sounded good, so I was able to do it really quickly, and then it just sort of went from there. Like I was very quickly like able to make music that I was actually happy with. And I always said when I was starting with it, I was like, I just want to make one song, and it was I heard The Rapture before it was ever called The Rapture Part 3 in that set. And that's what really sent me on the deep dive into it, because I was like, if I can make something that makes me feel like this song makes me feel like once in my life, then I'll be happy. And then my first song, which was that Muna Muna, which is still not released, but like it was really like, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but that was like even blew me away in terms of what I could make. I was so happy with it, and I was like, okay, maybe actually this is something that I can do. Like, and it's now like the videography, like I don't put any pressure on myself with it. I don't call myself a producer. Like it's not a job. I've never made a single penny out of it. I don't care if I ever do make a penny out of it. I just want to do it as long as I enjoy it. And like, I don't want to put pressure to make new stuff. And that's my philosophy now with everything moving forward. I only want to do it if I actually enjoy it and it makes me feel good. And the second that it doesn't make me feel good, then I can literally just learn and do something new, because it's actually, I like, don't get me wrong, like I should and want to make a lot more money in my life, but like it's not about that. Like I'm super happy now with my lifestyle and the ability to be able to do what I want and be able to, and if as long as I can live like that forever, then I'm happy.
Nice, Sammy. That's unreal. So we'll put Joel's SoundCloud link in the description, so you can check out Joel's music. But Juliet is my favorite. You've just started working on another song last night.
Yeah, started last night, which I'm just trying new
experiment.
Yeah, exactly, because like everything sounds the same now in the music world, so I want to try and make something new. So yeah.
And just to give a bit of context, you're living now in Bali.
Yeah, mostly in Bali, and I work with a guy in Switzerland called JR. You might have seen him with us, and we have a few exciting things coming up in the pipeline. So I'm in Zurich quite a lot, but also in Bali now, like in the winter.
Nice.
And I plan to be like, the Bali for me is the best place in the world at the minute, just for what I want out of life.
Yeah, locking in. That's what me and Joel
locking in, but also not like locking in to the extent,
to what people think.
Like, yeah, not like this monk mode shit and all. Like, to be honest, like I honestly, I mean, we're running out of time now, but like I really disagree with all of these guys online who are like telling you to live like that, because I really don't think that that's the way to live. I think there's so much more to life than just locking in. Like, yeah, you can lock in now and set yourself up for the future, but like, what's the point in setting yourself up to be unhappy? If it's not making you feel good, then it's not. And also, I think I'm not really a big reader, and a lot of people are reading all these self-help and productivity books and stuff, and like I probably could learn a lot from them, but like I also noticed a lot of people, like it's almost like death by overproductivity or whatever. Like they're reading all these books and filling themselves with all these knowledge, but then like all their life is just reading more and more of it instead of actually just living it and implementing it. So like I'm a firm believer in just doing what makes me literally feel good. And like
I think there's two things to pick up on there with Joel. Is number one, Also, Joel helped me with the Creator Club, basically set it up. And when it was originally a one-off payment where people used to pay like $850 or $900 for a lifetime access, then in March when I was really locked in and doing 200 days sober, me and Joel kind of just toyed with the idea of doing it as a monthly membership. And now we've gone from having like 15 members, like who were just lifetime members, to a whole new business, which is honestly been completely life-changing for me, and like has made such, now that it's a monthly membership and it's a lot more affordable, has made, I truly believe, and I know because I've got the testimonials, I've got the reviews, and I've got the happy members in front of me, like literally transformed a lot of people's lives. Like I think we're up to 130 members now. Like it's insane. And this was again Joel's idea, so I always have a lot to thank Joel for kind of pushing me and helping me come up with ideas and being there to set up the whole community on Circle. So like Joel has helped me in so many ways in my life, and he's always there to listen to me when I have problems in my life, whether that's relationship problems, whether it's financial problems, whatever it might be. Even if I'm just feeling sad or down, Joel is always the first person, Joel and Mike, who I'll call or text, and they're always there for me. And yeah, Joel is literally my best friend, and I want to thank you for everything you've done.
Same to you, Sammy, because you opened a lot of doors for me, obviously. Like I would maybe still be making videos in Ireland right now.
Well, I don't think so. We would have met at some point, Sammy.
Yeah. And
also we call each other Sammy. That was actually Lee's thing. Oh, before we end this, I am conscious of time. We've got 5 minutes or so. Joel, as well, as he's just said, isn't really into the whole kind of self-improvement thing. But Joel has a personality type which is very different to me. I'm very, very intense. Like Joel can literally go and have 2 beers and then just call it a night. I can't do that. So like, this is interesting for you to see, because that's why I brought Joel on here, is obviously just to have this conversation and to tell a story. But you've got two very different personality types between me and Joel. Joel is very chilled, very relaxed, can have 2 beers and call it a night. And like in terms of the parties and stuff, he can take it or leave it. Whereas with me, I'm just kind of all or nothing. And so I am very into the whole kind of self-improvement thing. But for me, it works really well. And like sometimes I look at Joel and wish I had that balance. But I just know based on my personality type that I'm not like Joel, and I can't try and be someone that I'm not. So yeah, I think Joel's kind of take on the whole self-improvement, his way of living is very different to mine. And I thought that's why it's also so, like, I think that's why we work well together.
Yeah, no,
because
100%.
we are.
Everyone that if I look at all my closest relationships and like people that have helped me grow basically as a person, it's all because we're similar enough in many ways, but also different enough in many ways that it basically is like pushes you in your out of your comfort zone, but also makes you feel like comfortable at the same time. Like, and that's what it's all about. Like,
you need
to have people. There's different people who are good at different things, and like you can't beat yourself up over not being good at everything. So you have to recognize what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, and then surround yourself with the people who fill in those blanks for the parts that you basically aren't good at. And then you're like unstoppable, because usually what you're good at, the person you're friends with might not be that good at that, but they're good at something else. And it's the same in business, or the same in like actual relationships, like boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Like you should always be with people who basically like push you out of your comfort zone enough, but also make you feel obviously super at home and comfortable. And like that's who all my best friends and everyone has been.
I agree, Sammy. I'm trying to think of the word to like basically like fill in the blanks, I guess. I don't know what the expression is or the term, but like anything that I'm good at, like my good things basically
like
compliment.
Yeah, compliment. Yeah, it's like compliment.
And you compliment, like we complement each other in so many ways. That is what makes it so, first of all, helps us, well, allows us, I think, to be somewhat successful in whatever we do, and also allows us to be such good friends and
not
like,
clash, because if you're too similar, then you're going to clash. But
exactly.
It's like colors on a color wheel, you know, like you sort of have to match, because there's so many things you need to be obviously similar in to have any sort of connection, because then like if you're too different, it won't work either. But yeah, you need to complement each other in terms of like helping each other grow and stuff, because if you're too similar, then you'll clash and it'll just look really bad. So yeah.
Perfect, boss. Thank you, Sammy.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
That was good.
Really good, boss. Good job.